And welcome to the Rugby Bits podcast. And we're doing a midweek show reviewing the Springbok squad selected for the test against the All Blacks happening in the Rugby Championship in the next 2 weeks. I've got Shaun, I've got Kooks with me today. Kooks, looking like Jonathan Dante has just been signed by the Milwaukee Bucks there in his new shirt. And yeah, we're going to see what the squad that Rusty's picked, some of the controversial selections and omissions, and yeah, a lot to break down here. And a bit of news from the All Blacks with some coaching changes that they've made. Shaun, I'll start with you. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is clearly the Nico Janse van Rensburg picking. What are your thoughts on that?
Hi, and yeah, it had me scrambling. I'll be honest, it's probably one of the best kept rugby secrets out. Like it wasn't even rumored anywhere. Like not even Jared got wind of it, which is quite something. Like if we're honest with ourselves, like he's on top of it. But that is it's a great shout. So Nico's been playing probably 95% of his games last season and well, the last 2 seasons, should I say, at flank. He's played a handful of games at lock. It's going to be quite an interesting call as to why he's been brought in. I'm looking forward to it. There's always got to be surprises, and the only thing we know is we don't know. But what he's going to bring to us is definitely, I think, is someone like in that Dixon, Peter Steph Toy mold. I don't know if we're going to be seeing him at lock. It'll be interesting if we do.
Yeah, I think obviously he does. Well, I don't watch Montpellier that much. They were a bit of a car crash this season, but it seemed like people were saying that he was running the show in terms of the lineout, and obviously we need lineout callers in the team.
Yeah, 100%. It's something that you've chatted about for a while, and we've obviously highlighted. Ruan Nokia was that guy, and it looks like maybe he's not that guy. I think the big thing for me is we were expecting just a whole bunch of the norm, especially for All Black week, like for these couple of weeks, but we were kind of expecting like we've got to go out, we've got to hit it hard, we've got to go first choice. I didn't expect too many other surprises, and we've been, yeah, the two of them have come in. I think Nico is one of them, Jaden's another one. I know he's been back a couple of weeks. It seems a bit of a change, and I think it's got everyone scrambling.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we'll talk about some of those changes now. Kooks, I'll bring you in here. Shaun's just mentioned, obviously, Jaden Hendrikse are coming in. There's videos of him sealing the win for the Sharks against the Cheetahs with a turnover in the ruck. Him doing some classic shithousery in the ruck and rolling over like he was on fire, basically, which was brilliant. No, Hendrikse obviously has definitely got that scrum off gene in him. Obviously it's the question. I guess the big selection call was picking him instead of picking Morne van der Berg, and obviously the coaches think he's match fit now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think Jaden and sort of Nico are sort of in the same WhatsApp group for me, because I look at, touch on Shaun and he said about Nico Janse van Rensburg. I mean, how many other locks are still standing in South Africa at the moment, the way we've lost sort of numbers with the injury there. So I think with the Springboks, they could be looking at having almost a third number 5 choice. I think with Elrigh, he's tended to come on a number 4, but I think with the injuries to Lewitt and Franco Mostad, he sort of had to cover 5. So I think now we have Ronald here and Nico Janse van Rensburg who can sort of play in that mold. But with Jaden, I think it's the same thing. I think obviously we know that the last time you're sort of fully fit for a good period of time, he was our number 1 choice scrum off. So I think he's always had the faith of the coach. And I think if he was fit, I don't think Morne van der Berg would have played. I think so now naturally when he's available, he sort of comes straight back in the fold. I think Morne van der Berg struggled a little bit on the weekend, but again, it's inexperience. I mean, in those conditions were horrendous, and I think that's something that Morne van der Berg will learn from. But yeah, I mean, if Jaden Hendrikse is fit, I'm a massive Jaden Hendrikse fan, and I think all round he's probably our best all round scrum off. He sort of ticks all the boxes there. I mean, Grant Williams is very close. I mean, what that guy has to do to get a start, I don't know at the moment. But yeah, I think for me, I think he's a perfect sort of scrum off to bring in this mix. I can't wait to see him sort of in this new style that we play. I think it suits him perfectly, because he does have the good boot, and he's also very, very good at running the game. So I think for me, Jaden Hendrikse as soon as he got through what was the 2 Currie Cup games. I was like, you got to get him back in the mix. So yeah, for me, those are no brainer. As soon as the Rock was ready to play rugby, I think yeah, you had to get him back in the mix.
Yeah, and obviously with still Grant Williams there, Cobus Reinach's there, it seems like Faf de Klerk has been ruled out for the rest of the Rugby Championship at the very least. So it's going to be interesting to see what Rassie does. I probably would assume Reinach is still going to make the match 23, and maybe they ease in Hendrikse and Grant Williams just taking his impact player role, which, I mean, he's really good at, to be fair to him. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they sort of reject that. But in other news, basically, there's 4 other Rugby World Cup winners that have come back into the squad through injuries and suspension. So, Shaun, let's start with Canan Moodie. He doesn't really come in for anyone. He's just in as one of the back 3 options, and obviously there's a embarrassment of riches there. He's been playing pretty well for the Bulls, obviously in the last few weeks, bullying some of the Pumas there in the game last week. So I don't know if he's going to necessarily play like in the next 2 weeks, but obviously a good option to have.
Yeah, he's a couple of great clips come out on social. He had an up and down game for the Bulls. I wouldn't say it was just plain sailing for him. Didn't think it wasn't great. It wasn't poor. Like, he had a couple of good showings, but I think the one thing that we've realized is that when guys come into the Springbok mix, their whole their form changes. Very few guys come in and get worse, once they've spent time in the Springbok setup, especially guys that are coming back into it. I think it's a case of them just pushing to get back in and then, just settle everything down again. They've got the confidence again, everyone's around them. It's the same old for them. I'm super excited to see Moodie. I agree with you in terms of how much we'll see him in the next 2 weeks or the next 2 games. He probably gets a closer look in if we're naming 5 threes again. But I agree. I think probably we're pretty much set in the back 3 as things stand. And I don't see him starting a game at 13. So he'll cover, in fact, I lie, maybe not just 5-3, perhaps even 6-2s, because he can cover fullback, wing, and 13. So, it'll be interesting to see how much time he does get. And I mean, he's a firecracker when he's on the field anyway. So happy days.
But also, Sharky,
Yeah.
I mean, to add on that, Sharky, I think with Moodie, what you're getting is also, I think with our wingers at the moment, was like you couldn't rest all of them, for example, because you're sort of a winger short. So it would be Curtly Orange, for example, like in Portugal, sort of gets plays then because you have only Mapimpi as cover. And then now you look on the weekend, now Colby sort of plays because now Curtly's got to rest and Mapimpi's playing. Now, I think the Boks consider a situation where they sort of have, even for training, the Boks always speak about the guys who aren't playing and the impact they bring at training. Now you can have 2 out-and-out wingers sort of going at the starting guys. And I think obviously with Moodie, the Boks can sort of go back to horses for courses. Maybe if they want a taller winger, you can throw Moodie in there, or if they want to give Colby and Curtly Orange sort of a proper break, and then you can sort of you can take out both of them, Mapimpi and Moodie there. Because I mean, I think you can see there's a clear plan, obviously, with the Springboks is to sort of manage their players and giving Oaks opportunity. I think obviously Colby's a massive one because, like Thala said, he tends to get injured. Like he's almost playing like 7 to 8 tests a year. So you don't want to actually make sure you lose him for sort of games against the All Blacks and sort of or lose him for like an end of year tour. So now you can make a call and going, okay, cool, Colby, you can rest here. Now we've got another out and out 14 in Canan Moodie. So I mean, if you're the Springboks or especially if you're the All Blacks, I mean, Thala, you mentioned there's 4 World Cup winners coming back. Our squad essentially just gotten stronger. That's the scary part, is because now you got, like a Jasper, Kitshoff, guys who actually start for the Springboks, the guys who have been starters for a while. So, I mean, with Moodie, I think to get him back, I mean, the poor Pumas, I think was bullying the Oaks in the Currie Cup. I think maybe the Oaks in the Currie Cup, the coaches there sort of put a memo sent to like SA Rugby, like, Rassie, can you please take this look away? Like, can you actually go train? Like, we're trying to win a Currie Cup here, and now Oaks are sort of finding their way through us. But I can't wait to see Canan Moodie back on the rugby field. And I know obviously he's at the experiment at 13, but it's just too good for him not to see him sort of in green and gold again and back in that mix. And I'm sure for him, having missed out on Ireland and missed out on obviously the early part of the championship, he must be itching to get back on tour. And I think that the likes of Kitshoff and those guys, I think they're going to bring the energy straight back up because those guys have not played a test this year. They probably can't wait to get stuck in the bot camp. I mean, I know Thala you go to Kitshoff now. He's probably going to be frothing at the mouth to get back in that mix. I mean, he hasn't been involved in the bot mix since the World Cup. So I just think something like Moody, I think the quality raises. If you're the All Blacks, it's a tough place to be if they're still scrambling like back four, back three, trying to figure things out. There's coaches leaving while the Springboks are calling back the likes of Kane and Moody to come play back again.
You bring up a great point in terms of like the wider squad and space in that space. Moody offers a great sort of a Will Jordan filler role as well, because I do expect that we'll be seeing the All Blacks kicking a lot more. They took it away in the first test against Argentina. They got panelled, and they changed it up in the second week, and they they returned fire. So there's a good option for him there, obviously in training and the lead up to those tests.
Yeah, keen to see how he goes. And yeah, I think good points raised about him just offering some value in the squad player role. Kooks, you've already mentioned Steven Kitshoff, and yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't know if he watches or listens to things. I think it's probably more his wife that keeps up with what's happening on Twitter. But I think there's a raising view that Kitsy has to, at the very least, fight for his spot back in the match 23. That obviously Oxen Che has probably been the best loose head in the world for the last year or so. Gerhard Steenkamp has been amazing and hasn't really put a foot wrong so far. So it's not going to be easy for Kitshoff just to sort of pitch up and say, hey, I'm going to get my spot back.
No, definitely not. I mean, I think the battle there is between probably him and Steenkamp, because obviously I think Ox will definitely be in the match at 23, where they're starting with 17. I mean, Ox has been sensational. I mean, so is Steenkamp. And that the fact that we're having this conversation just shows how well Steenkamp's played, that we sit in a position where we're going, oh, can Kitsy come back in the mix? But I don't advocate for players getting injured, but, I just thought for Kitsy, a break was needed. You could sort of tell at the late stage of the World Cup. I mean, he played so many minutes for the Stormers leading into it, and Rugby Championship and the World Cup. You just seemed a bit leggy, then straight into Ulster. So I do think what he did need was probably an extended holiday. Obviously, it's not fun being injured, but I do think with Kitsy now, having had some time off, good few months of training, and sort of getting himself back in a good place to be. And now I just think him coming back he's going to be raring to go. Because I mean, I can't remember when last we've seen him in the Hoops Western Province jersey. I think he probably had to dig deep in the cupboard to sort of. I think the province was sponsored by Adidas the last time we saw him playing Currie Cup. But so if you Kitsy, I mean, I think he's going to be raring to go. And I think the fact that now there's competition, and we know Kitsy, I mean, he takes great pride in being a Springbok, and we know that Kitsy is obviously part of the leadership group as well. I mean, having led the Stormers, so he brings in a heap of experience. So which I think going to the All Blacks, that might actually, because I do think he plays in a test. Either one, yeah. I do think Kitsy gets the game. And obviously, I'm sure he would love to play in both. I'm sure he'd love to play in Cape Town at home, but I think Kitsy's in the same mold where if he gets his jersey back, he's gonna. I think he's gonna be fantastic. I think it's sort of. I think he'll be like re-energized. I mean, geez. I mean, imagine being away for that long and now you're coming back and there's doubts over your jersey, and that's all a guy like that sort of needs. I mean, we saw a lot of guys like Colby last week, when also calling on Twitter the performance he put on Frans Mahelba before the first Aussie game, and also a little bit skeptical, wondering the performance he put on. So I don't think the All Blacks need to deal with a re-energized and quite possibly maybe an angry Kitsy trying to get his jersey back. But again, I mean, if the Springboks just sit there, you got three world-class, loose heads, and they all can't play. So whether Steenkamp misses out or Kitsy misses out, it is going to be tough. But I'm just saying, for Steenkamp, for him to be in conversation, to keep out 70 cap Springbok, a double World Cup winner, and people are still wondering whether he should go ahead of you, just shows how amazing Steenkamp's been. And with Steenkamp, the scary thing with him, he's gotten better and better each test, and he's shown more and more of what he does each time. He was phenomenal again when in the first test against the Wallabies. So yeah, I mean, it's those scrum practices is going to be fun. I mean, could be a tough day for Vincent Koch, Thomas Tutoy, and Frans Mahelba in the scrum session with Steenkamp, Kitsy, and Ox all fighting for two jerseys.
I mean, yeah, I think we all remember, like, basically this time last year, Steven Kitshoff was getting every game. Like, he had to, because we didn't really have loose heads. I mean, Steenkamp wasn't the guy that he is right now. So he was playing, like, for the first team, he was playing for the second team, he was
On
playing
Argentina
against,
for
like,
no reason, and like
yeah, he went like literally. I think even Amy Kitshoff was like, "Bring my man's back." Like this guy is not getting any holiday. He's not like the other wives and girlfriends. At least can get like a Saturday at a farmer's market with their husbands once in a while, and he was not getting any rest. So it's a good point that Kooks makes. That I mean, Kitshoff through the injury almost gets a break that he's been probably needing for about 3-4 years now, because we know he's been a constant for the Stormers and a constant um for the Springboks as well.
and big minutes for the Stormers. I think that was a big thing we talked about as well. He wasn't just playing 60, 50 minutes. I mean, he was playing what 70 minutes, Sharky. I mean, like he was going the long haul for the Stormers. I mean, Andrew Porter style. So I do think that now he's obviously rearing to go, and obviously, I mean, he's going to be massive for the Springbok camp. I mean, as one of the leaders as well. But man, I mean, our prop stocks are looking good right now, and I mean, I don't think there's any better prop stocks in the world at the moment, Sharky, than probably us in France, maybe. I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong, the All Blacks also, sorry, I'm going to write them off. They've got proper stocks at prop as well.
Yeah. I was actually, just before you said that, I was having a little look-see. We've got, I mean, so Du Toit, Kitshoff, Koch, Malherbe, Oxenchair, Steenkamp, and Wessels. I think if either combination of those players make the matchday 23, you're not massively upset. Like you know, you can almost, there's, you know, like you can have like the devil and the angel on your shoulder and say, you know, he offers this, but he's not good here. There's like a little bit more balance in this area, or whatever the case may be. We're in a good space, and we are in a good space where the guys are properly competitive. The best part about it is Don is massive about live scrummaging. So I'm like, backline player as I am, I would, if I could win a ticket to go and spend just like a couple of hours with them and just watch them scrum all day and listen to what's happening there, it would be gold, would be heaven. But yeah, we're in a very good space. Good balance of our age profile as well. Good balance on the experience side of things. It's pretty decent. I think the All Blacks, I still don't think there's a country that can really front up to us with like a starting pack and a bench pack. We're really in a position where we've got like, you can start and bench either combo that you feel, and you're going to win in many spaces. So like, I'm pretty sure we could name the starting front row for all of the other Test nations, and that says quite something about our pack. It's ridiculous.
No, I mean, talk about a pack. Obviously, we got a returning Jasper Wiese as well from what feels like the world's longest suspension. I mean, and again, which shows, I think 8 has obviously been a position that we've been trying to fill. We haven't had an alternate 8 in any of our tests. I know Elrigh Louw played a lot of rugby for the Bulls at 8, and in the last 2 tests started at 8. But Shaka, do you think Jasper comes straight back in against All Blacks, straight back in that 8 jersey?
Yes. It all depends on how well he's been in camp. Like, even when we were playing Ireland, he was in camp.
Yeah, it's just the start of the rugby championship, he wasn't in camp.
Yeah, so he's in a good space. My question isn't about whether he starts or not, because for me he starts. I would have him starting any day of the week. I think I wouldn't say we've been missing there. I think we needed to ask a few questions, and it took us a while to get that answer. The biggest question for me, excuse me, is what happens to Elrigh Louw? He's been the standout there. The thing about Elrigh is he covers 4, 8 and blindside. Like, so he's in with the shout of making the bench, just on his form and the fact that he's a little bit versatile. But to answer your question, Jasper starts. It's an absolute no-brainer for me. The thing is, he's an excellent player, but he's also got that red mist anger. You know, he wants to go out and prove a point. He strikes me as the player, the kind of guy that he wants to go out and play every week to show everyone, like to show himself, just to prove to himself that he's good enough to do that and just absolutely smash people. And I don't have his numbers now, but he would have made, I'm really sucking thumb here, but I reckon well over 50% of his carries have been dominant carries. He may not have made massive post-contact meters, but he's most certainly gone over the defender more often than not. And he's going to bring something a little bit new back to us. Like, it's something that we've missed. Like, it's the same as when Damien Delendy is not there. You're like, we can do without him. And then you're like, well, actually, when he does come back, then you miss that space and what they do. And obviously the coaches structure everything around it. So yeah, he starts.
I think for me, he starts as well, because you look at the way we've sort of used Elrigh Louw in his 2 tests against Australia is almost as a battering ram. You know, I think we've seen a high number of carries from Elrigh, and he's been fantastic with his carrying, especially that first game. And then, for example, is now if you're using that 8 in that way, we want him to sort of have a high number of carries. There's not many better than Jasper Wiese. So I think for me, he sort of comes back, and also what does play in Elrigh Louw's favor is the fact that he can, you know, obviously cover multiple positions. I think obviously that makes him a great bench option. So you're almost freeing up Kwagga Smith to be almost covering 6, for example. Like, maybe you don't have to necessarily have a Kwagga and a Marco van Staden on the bench. You could have a Kwagga and a Elrigh Louw on the bench, or especially if you're looking at maybe saying moving Peter Steph back to 5 for one of these tests, if say Arcas Neyman hasn't recovered well from injury, so you sort of have that option as well, where you can sort of play around with that mix. But I just think for me, I don't think anyone has sort of gotten a proper grasp of that number 8 jersey since Jasper's been suspended. I think obviously, you know, Kwagga's, I mean, I shown glimpses there at 8, and then, I mean, Elrigh was fantastic in that first test, worked hard, I mean, grafted hard again in the second test, but I don't think anyone has sort of grabbed a hold of that jersey and saying that 8 jersey, saying it's mine. So I think with Jasper coming back, I think it'll add a lot to the way the Springboks play, and I think getting front football. So I definitely think for me that I think that Jasper comes back straight in. What about you, Thala?
Jasper Wiese is so interesting because, okay, let me ask you guys point blank, sort of yes or no. Do you guys think Jasper's in the top, 3 8th men in the world?
Yes.
No. Oh,
You think so? Okay,
Yes.
do you think he's probably 3rd or?
Yes. But
Okay.
I think he's in the
I
top
think
2. I think you could totally argue that.
I think he's
Okay,
like
no, fair.
5-6 region, you know, like, I mean, like, it's definitely like in the top 10, but I think it's like in that
Yeah.
5-6 region, bordering sort of 5th for me. I mean,
Yeah.
which is no slouch. There's some
No,
good
not
8s.
at all.
There's some good 8s around in the world. I mean,
Yeah, so my point is not to sort of slander Jasper, but like, this is now what, year 4 of us, or at least some fans thinking, oh, there's a new person that could sort of take out Jasper Wiese. I mean, it was Wiese versus Dwayne Vermeulen. We were like, no, Dwayne's got this. We want the experience of Dwayne. Then it was Wiese versus Evan Roos, and we were like, Roos is the new big thing. Obviously, there was the Cape Roos convention that was all going for that. Then, I mean, Louw had his time, and obviously we thought Hanekom could make a run this year, and obviously he was injured. And it's just sort of worked out that, number one, I think in certain times, I think it's a timing thing. Wiese's fallen straight in the middle of that generation between Dwayne Vermeulen, who was like our 8 for 10 years, and this new generation that's still trying to find themselves in pro rugby. And number 2, like at least in this recent time, it's been a few injuries that have helped him. And number 3, no one really, like Cook said, has taken that jersey by the scruff of its neck. So again, Wiese has been out now for 6 tests. We thought, or at least I personally thought, this could actually be one of the times now where Wiese has to probably come back and fight for his jersey, even if he has different strengths to a Louw, a Roos, or a Hanekom, whatever. But Hanekom's injured. Roos didn't really play that well and was injured. Kwagga Smith is horrible at kickoffs. And Elrigh Louw just isn't quite the same player as Jasper Wiese. So, like, it's not because he's necessarily like the best player in the world, like a Damien Delendy or anything like that. But obviously, he fits what the Boks want to do so well. And he's just almost fallen in that right generation of, I could do a 4, 5, or 6 year stint in between these guys sort of growing up and, a legend leaving.
The disrespect. The disrespect. So I hear you. I just think a lot of people are looking at it the wrong way. I don't, sorry, that sounds bad. I don't agree with you in that he's come into space. This is the Jasper Wiese that everyone was kind of saying, who's this, when we started him for the Lions, against the Lions, and then he dominated. Then he was the one that a lot of people were saying Duane Vermeulen needs to retire now, and then Duane had to fight to get into the World Cup. This is an eighth man that was comfortably the best eighth man in the Premiership when they won the Premiership. Like, his numbers were ridiculous. So I do think he's in the top three. I think, like, you can argue that you can argue about, that 3, 4, and 5 place and where he fits. I agree that his skill set suits us down to the ground, but we also are looking to expand in certain ways, and he will expand with that. I think that he's the kind of eighth man that's going to comfortably be first choice, and everyone else will be fighting him for it for probably up until the next, maybe up to and past the next World Cup. I would really like to see Cameron Honeycomb have a go, but he's a different type of carrier. Like, no one's as strong and as badass as him on the carry, and we use that to our strengths. And I think he would fit into many a test side at 8, just because of what he does. Like, it's not the fact that we're like, oh, he just completely suits our style of play and therefore he's great. I think sides would use him comfortably and say, right, this is where his space is going to be. Like, England have taken a while to get used to Ben Earl, but they would have used the Jasper Wiese comfortably. There's a lot of
Polo especially.
Exactly. So that's like, everyone's looking at like Ardie Savea at 8, and everyone wants that wild, like, loose 8. But the fact still remains that most of the really, really good sides have a good, strong, solid, hard carrying 8. Ardie arguably could do better on the side of the scrum. I don't think the All Blacks have an 8 that can cover his position to free Ardie up to go to the side. But big, hard carrying 8s are gold dust in the rugby world. So Jasper's in the top 3 for me.
Interesting. But yeah, I think in terms of him being picked, again, it's not that Elrigh Louw did anything wrong. I think, he just doesn't reach that standard that Wiese sets when he plays. And I mean, we know, I'm sure you guys mentioned when I was stepped out, we know obviously how Wiese pretty much secured the test match single-handedly against about, 100 Kiwis or whatever it was at the end of that Rugby World Cup final. And you can't really imagine too many other men being able to do that. Never mind, what Wiese did there at the World Cup final. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see him. And obviously he has 6 weeks. Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing about Wiese that's a bit irritating is just the discipline aspect. So he's going to have to fix that, but he'll be good with that, I'm sure.
I think Wiese must be Irish, and then because then if he's Irish, he can sort of get whatever he wants. I like Kellen Doris, and or I mean, just do what McDermott did to Reinach the other day, and then if you go to Australian, then you'll be fine. But anyway, sorry, let me not start on a round.
Hey, Kooks.
I'm trying not to rant anymore. That's my birthday's tomorrow, so I'm getting older and wiser. So I'm trying to be not calmer now. So don't let me not get triggered.
Okay, no, you know what, Kooks, that's what we call growth. In terms of omissions, I think we've covered everyone. I mean, Easthuizen is back. He'll obviously add depth to the centers. We know what he is. He's a known product now. The main omissions were obviously Morne van der Berg, sort of a straight switch with Hendrikse, and then Jan Grobler, which is an interesting one. He's obviously out, which means we have 2 normal hookers, if I can call it that, with Mbonambi and Marks. And then we have Jan-Hendrik Wessels sort of as a prop hooker hybrid. So we have, I guess you can call it 6.5 props and 2.5 hookers. Yeah, look, I mean, we've talked about Wessels quite a bit here, and I don't think there's too much need for me to rehash, obviously, what my thoughts are, because I'm, worried this kid's not going to get enough game time. He's not going to convince his actual day-to-day boss that he's good enough to play every week. But
it's a core prop, Thala. That's a problem.
You guys are going to want to burn Jake White at the stake, and I'm just going to be like, you guys should have listened to me and we should have let this guy play Curry Cup so he can prove his point there. But anyway, so we are in a situation that if something happens to one of Mbonambi or Marks, Wessels then plays hooker. Do we think that's going to be the case, or do we think there's going to be a very quick call and Uber for Grobler to come to Ellis Park.
I think Wessels goes in. I mean,
Yeah.
otherwise,
No.
I don't
What?
think. I think he goes in. I mean, otherwise, I mean, why would they, sort of send Krobie's home? So I think Wessels goes in as a second choice. And I think, I mean, one thing we've seen in the World Cup is that Bongi or Marks can go the distance. I mean, they can play big minutes, and we saw that. And I think there's one thing we wondered about Bongi. I think, I mean, Marks we know obviously, and then but Bongi sort of proved those doubters that he can sort of go long minutes, and then Jan Hendrik Wessels sort of goes in there. I think there's no way that they would just sort of be comfortable enough to send Krobie's home and also not to be in the squad if they didn't trust Jan Hendrik Wessels throwing. I mean, guys, these are the same guys the same coaching staff that picked Deon Fourie, and Deon Fourie had not played hooker for years leading up to that, and then he played 70-odd minutes in a World Cup final.
You make a good point.
This at least has played hooker more recently. Like he sort of doubles up. He's probably more of a hooker than he is a prop. He like doubles up. What I'm saying is like that's something. If he's there, there must be a thing where they're going. Because the harsh thing of if you Krobie's, for example, is it does show that there's a big gap in the hooker stakes between Bongi, Marks, and then the next best. There's a big gap there. And so now my frustration is this with that is, so how do we need to find a way to close that gap? And I would have still kept Ioane Grobler in there. I think obviously it was not a good game for him. I mean, obviously in the weekend, I mean, he was throwing not the typical Ioane Grobler game, unless and for example, maybe they do want a bigger hooker as a third choice, for example, if you're losing one of those two. I mean, Yannick is slightly bit bigger than Krobie's, and listen, I think with Krobie's obviously there's a lot to take. It's harsh because I mean he has been dropped. It is harsh, but I do think the coaching staff do back him. But my biggest concern with all of that is just the gap from Marks Bongi, the next bit. So if you're losing a Marks or Bongi for an extended time, that makes me worry now.
I couldn't disagree with you more. Grobler at any given time for the next 2 rounds of the rugby championship is 2 hours away. Like we're playing.
I'm saying it's cover. But then why don't they keep him there?
No, because we've got 2 hookers already. So
I mean,
if any one of them drop in game, the other one picks it up. Wessels is probably not going to make the match day 23 anyway. If one of them dropped 10 minutes before kickoff, I would go as far as saying I still reckon their name Grobler on the bench and they fucking Uber him.
But he's going to put down his brandy and coke like mid game. Oh, sorry.
He's already there. He's already got an Airbnb next door to Ellis Park. To Ellis Park. He's sorted. Like he's got his boots. He's ready. So I don't think Wessels. Yeah, so I'm trying to think worst case scenario. So worst case scenario would be that one of them pick up a serious injury in warm up. Then what's going to happen? Then Wessels would come in at hooker and Malcolm or Bongi is going to play 80 minutes. That's just the way it's going to be. And then they will draft in Grobler the following week, and Grobbies will be on the bench for the second test. That's the way I look at it. Like I don't see Wessels there as a backup hooker. But then again, haven't watched enough of him. I just think Grobler is way better than Wessels at hooker because I haven't watched Wessels, but I think Grobler did enough. I know he had a bad game.
He's better. I watched the Bulls. He's a better hooker. He's the third choice hooker at the Bulls, third choice Lucid at the...
I agree with you.
So he comes in. He
He is the better hooker. Like I hear you. Everything you're saying is spot on. But the problem is like, the problem is not playing. He's not in the WhatsApp group anymore. He's been removed. So what I'm saying is like, if I'm Krobie's on that Ellis Park game, I've already had.
You're drinking.
I've been having pre-drinks from 12. Got the guys over. I'm like, Grassy, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to be there, but I'm in no stage to play a rugby game.
He's going to climb. He's going to climb over the railing from H stand and climb over the railings and run onto the field.
Yeah, I wonder if he's in the Bulls side to play this weekend. Because if he is, geez, good luck to the. Because I think the Bulls play the Griquas this weekend. Good luck to the Griquas having to deal with that angry. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, I doubt it. I mean, I think he's probably in that exemption of like no one actually cares about that rule. Never mind. I'm not even going to say.
I think that rule, because I think that rule applies for I mean, I think the Boks come straight back.
Non-Springboks. Yeah.
The Boks are coming because they need to sort of play, and that's why the pure Pumas, the poor Pumas had to deal with. I mean, they had to deal with Ken and Moody, which was, I'm sure that was fun for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just checking the team lineup. Oh, the Bulls haven't announced it yet, so maybe he does come in. But yeah, no, I mean, our poor Griquas and Pumas are essentially semi-pro teams at the moment, and yeah, they don't need to deal with angry, like omitted Springboks as their punishment. I mean, yeah, that's not nice on them. Yeah, look, we'll see. I mean, I'm just hoping that we don't come a few months later with this Vessel situation, and yeah, there's like frustrations on many sides. As I've said, if between another man named Vessels, between Dave Vessels and Rassie Erasmus, the best solution for everyone is for this man to permanently move to Joburg. He will be pretty much first or second choice there in whatever position he chooses, and he has the chance to learn and develop. But yeah, it's going to be a musical chair situation, and someone's going to be very unhappy during the course of the season, which was going to be obviously quite interesting from a Bulls perspective.
I love how the Lions have become like the dumping ground for guys who need game time now. They're like, you should go with the Lions. Like wherever you have a hooker, flop, like, yeah, protect him. Like, money, we need a place to play. Lions, go. Go to Joburg. That's just like fill up all the Oaks. Like the Lions, like they make like a barbarian side of angry Springbok players who've been omitted. Just like just find 23 of them, just add the Marius Lows in them. Like, okay, you Oaks are the box should have been, and then just go wild the URC.
Yeah,
but
they were poor Lions.
They were the team where players would go and like to kill their career, and now there's like a whole bunch of Springboks that have come from the Lions. Big ups to Ringo, but now that perception is going to change. It's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. Like, will guys go to the Lions now and like realistically think they've got a chance to make the Springboks? Yeah, where in the past not so much.
No, I mean, they are doubling up as the Sharks Academy at the moment, so I think a change for them would help.
Goodness.
Them and the Cheetahs.
So yeah, look, I mean, at least, the Lions need to get some props back. I mean, they had like, let's say 4 props left, and then the Sharks decide to take Rondre as like their 7th choice.
Yes.
So I mean, any sort of front row.
It's a long season. We're back in Champions Cup next year. We need at least 54 props for us to compete next season. So that is our plan. We want to have at least a 6th choice, a quality 6th choice, a Springbok 6th choice in every single position. When 6-12s, 6-13s. So don't come and hinder our transfer process, please, Thala. We need Rondre.
Sounds like Chelsea.
We need the 2 games to play this season. We need those 2 games from Rondre massively.
So let me tell you what the Sharks are doing. This is essentially 2028 forward planning, because with this whole new rule or law that's coming to play with URC players not allowed to play like Currie Cup, and now with the Sharks back in the Champions Cup where they rightfully belong, and realistically being URC like champion challengers at the moment, like 2028, when a whole bunch of their side go off to be Springboks and go do the 3-peat for the World Cup, then all those guys are going to have to be on break, and that's where 5th, 6th, and 7th world-class choices come into mix. So that's basically the Sharks are going to go on and win the 2028 URC and Champions Cup, and that's to come off the back of their previous season's wins. So,
oh goodness, the poor Lions. Can they just keep at least players that they want to keep there? Gents, let's try. I'm gonna try something. Let's see if we can do it relatively quickly. Let's try and see if we can pick. We're not predicting. We're trying to pick a Springbok 23 for Ellis Park next week, considering that everyone is fit, etc., etc. Okay, number 1, Ox. All good there?
Yes.
Ox.
Okay, 2, Bongi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
3, Frans Malherbe. So
before you go back, we need to go back to the stage again where Marks plays. I love Bongi, but come on, we get back to when Marks plays 60 minutes again. Can you go back there again?
I'm very happy with that.
Like, but our hookers play 40-40, so that's where the target is, the sweet spot.
Not for 2 weeks' time. I'm just saying, can you go back there? Guys, Mark's not going to win World Player of the Year playing 30 minutes and a half. You need to end.
It's not helping the agenda.
So they're fighting my agenda here.
Okay, so probably like the first choice front row. Locks, Eben Etzebeth and Kooks. Who's the lock to partner for you?
I think Elrigh comes back, and I think he goes straight back in at 5.
Okay, Shaun.
I'm with you. I was actually a little bit torn here. I think Elrigh starts. We were a little bit worried about him starting and not being on the bench, and I think he's had a couple weeks now where he was going to be in Australia and do a little bit of something. But yeah, that's my number 5 as well.
Yeah, I'd pick Nokia, obviously, for obvious reasons and patriotic Bulls reasons. But yeah, that's probably the more correct one. And then the loose trio, Siya, Peter Steff, and Jasper Wiese.
Yeah.
So you don't forget World Player of the Year 2024, Peter Steff du Toit.
Ooh, Peter Steff versus DuPont. That's going to be great. And DuPont having not played one international game. But yeah, I think Elrigh Louw has had his chances. I'm happy with that. I can rest now knowing he's at least had like sort of good high level Springbok games. They want to see Wiese, see if he's back. Let's see how that goes. 9 is interesting. I think you can easily have 3 answers for 9. I'll start with you, Shaun.
Grant Williams. This is when we played that first 40 minutes against Ireland, I said we're going to pack it away and we're going to bring it up for the All Blacks. Grant Williams is going to be the key to that. We're going to be super expansive, especially for the opening test. It's one of the 2 tests, but I'm going to go with the first one. So Grant Williams for me.
Kooks?
Yeah, Grant Williams for me as well. Funny enough with Grant Williams, he's got 3 starts for the Springboks, 2 at 14 and 1 at 9. But at 9 he played 8 seconds, so doesn't count much as a start. So I think maybe it's a bad
coaching staff is so deranged, man. Oh my goodness.
It might be a bad omen for Grant to start. But I mean, Shocky, I agree with you. I think Grant Williams and Apelele Fassi are the 2 most improved sort of players in the last say year, because I think with Grant Williams you're always worried about his kicking game, but his kicking game has improved so much. I mean, again, that second test against Ireland, his boot is fantastic, and he's been fantastic off the bench.
And he kicked off his non-favored foot.
And I think his kicking now has been amazing. I think he's got all. I mean, for me, Grant Williams looks like the type of player, like almost like a Sasha, where once you give him that starting 9 jersey, you won't give it back. Because I also do think that obviously Jaden Hendrikse was sort of the better all-round arm, but I think Grant Williams now that he's sorted his kicking out is fantastic. I mean, his passing with the base has been crisp. I mean, he's the fastest human being pretty much in the world, bar Usain Bolt. So I think for me, I would love to see him getting a start at 9.
Yeah, I'm going to be just spicy for no reason. I would love to see Jaden Hendrikse start and keep Williams on the bench.
He's on my bench.
Yeah, no, just more because I think Williams is absolutely cooking at coming off the bench. I actually like it for him. And yeah, like Williams and Sasha, or depending on who's your 10, Williams and Sasha coming off the bench in whatever situation, like that could obviously be quite lit for the Springboks. And speaking of that, obviously that means my 10 is Pollard. Are we all in agreement, Kooks?
I got Sasha. I got Sasha as my 10.
Ooh.
The reason being, so
spicy.
I think Handré Pollard is the greatest insurance policy in world rugby.
Off the bench.
Yeah. I like that option of Pollard off the bench, and I think obviously there are games where you can sort of start him. I mean, like that Perth game, for example, the weekend when it was raining, we all sat there and we watched the game and we said, guys, this is such a perfect Pollard game to come on with 20 minutes to go. Like, this is the right option to sort of put in at 10 to sort of marshal the troops. And I like the option of having him at 10. There's there's an experienced campaign. There's a calm head coming off the bench. I mean, I know Sasha, obviously, I think we go back to 6-2 against the All Blacks, and you sort of have the option of, Sasha can cover 10 or sort of 15, but I would keep Sasha in there and have the insurance policy of 100 on the bench. But I mean, I'm also happy to have Pollard on the bench as the votes has spoken against me.
Yeah, I would actually go 110, and the reason being is I think it's probably a good time for Sasha to have a break, and not in a bad way. I think it'll be a nice time for him, and I think it'll be a nice time for Pollard to come back. But Pollard was also the one that they used at that super expansive game, and yeah, in order for Handré, I just think Pollard is probably the one for me. But I'd love Sasha there. I'm easy either way. Can I have a slash next to my name like that?
Pollard slash Handré Feinberg Ngomezulu.
I'm in.
Then midfield, Dukes and Creel.
Yeah.
Okay. Back 3, Arendse, Colby, Vili.
Yeah.
Okay. Kooks, your bench 6'2", 5'1", 7'3", 0824, whatever.
I'll have I'll have 6'2". Then obviously with I'll have Kitsi on the bench with so Marks, Kitsi, Koch, and then I would have Nokia as my lock, and then I would have Low and Kwaka, and then Jaden and Pollard. But with no Pollard, they obviously Sasha. So I think Sasha or Pollard, either or. But then yeah,
Interchangeable.
But my forwards will be, I think, obviously Elrigh can possibly cover lock if needs be. So I'll have sort of Elrigh there, especially with Jasper sort of having not played for a while back. I would like to see him obviously having to cover at 8 as well. And obviously Siya plays about 55, tends to play about 55 to 60 minutes. Then Kwaka can go straight into open side there. And then obviously you have Nokia who can sort of come in as number 5 lock, because then you can either shift Elrigh to 4 or take Elrigh off and Nokia comes straight on, or then maybe you got, I mean, Evan comes, or Elrigh comes off as a straight swap. So that would be my bench. No 2 open siders. We need to put that in the box and leave it somewhere.
Yeah, let's stop that woke nonsense. Let's just have a proper pack there. Shaun?
6'2". I'm going with Kobus and Sasha. Okay, so Jaden misses out. I'm happy. Kitshoff. So Malcolm, Kitshoff. I would really like to see Thomas du Toit. This is like between Koch and Thomas du Toit. I don't quite know. I would go Thomas du Toit just to change it up a little bit.
He was good.
And then
he was good in Perth.
Yeah, and then his time is coming. That man, like, to miss out on the World Cup and with 2019 as well, and all that sort of jazz, missing out on 2023. I think he's in the mix. I'm going to have Janse van Rensburg, Kwagga Smith. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You need one
I've
more
got one
forward.
more.
Probably a lock?
No. I'm going to go Janse van Rensburg, Kwagga Smith, Marco van Staden.
Okay.
Ooh, double flanks there. I think I'd go 6'2" as well. I'd go well, obviously I picked Nokia, so then obviously Snyman on my bench with
He's so good on the bench.
It's my team. You can
No, I'm saying he's so good. He's so good.
Oh, so good off the bench.
Yeah,
oh, okay,
yeah.
Sorry. I think he's not going to be on the bench. But I'd have Snyman with Dixon. And basically tell Peter Steph in the second half you're playing lock. And then the third Lucy's is Kwagga. And yeah, I assume Kooks, like you've basically mentioned, Wiese probably can only do 40 to 50 minutes. So Kwagga then plays 8, and we hope that there's no kickoffs or high balls that he needs to catch. And then having Williams and Sasha come off the bench for me because Jaden has started.
I like the Dixon.
Okay, that team.
I had Dixon off. I mean, it's tough. I mean, he's been fantastic since he's sort of gotten his chance. I mean, he was like, again, workhorse on the weekend, and like, oh man, such a cheat code when you have to go from, especially in that first test when you had Dixon and Peter Steph playing. I was like, oh gee, that is just amazing to watch. So yeah, I think for me, between Low and Dixon, I'm happy coming off the bench.
Okay. I think that we can sort of leave the box there. So let's talk about some of the breaking news from the All Black camp, with Leon MacDonald stepping down from his role as an assistant coach. Basically the release from NZR basically implies that they were MacDonald and Razor were not seeing eye to eye about how the team plays and everything, and they decided to just break up the partnership now instead of obviously trying to resolve it or letting it fester, whatever the case may be. So now Scott Hansen, not Steve Hansen, Scott Hansen and Tamati Ellison are going to step in basically as like the backs attack coach for the time being, probably until the end of the season. Yeah, interesting, Kooks. I think I've seen a few takes, obviously sort of negative and positive. And obviously, I think we talked last year when we heard the coaching staff that it was basically a whole, Chelsea squad of assistant coaches as well. So I guess it doesn't hurt too much to lose one. And but on the other hand, obviously, it's showing that, yeah, there's some growing pains in the Razor era so far.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I think like I tweeted Jared that the surprising one was the MacDonald one, because you sort of like probably the lead assistant. I mean, having, you know, him and Razor sort of started together in the 20s at Canterbury. And I think MacDonald spent a year at the Crusaders and obviously got the blue, when became the left on his own to go do the Blues job when defense coach. Then Tana was like, "Hey, my man, I'm not, you take head coaching job, I'll take the defense." But it could be a situation where, you know, and if you raise it, like, and it's like, oh man, like, and Leon's going, I'm not the same assistant coach you had when I was young and I started coaching. I've ran a side and I had my own team, and I think obviously it shows. I mean they said that. I mean it's sometimes very, very heated conversations. It must have been very heated for me. For him to say on the eve of the tour, like, I don't think it's going to work. I think I should head back. My question is, I wonder where the conversations were, like, who was the one driving we need to sort of throw the ball around more, and who was driving we need to be more direct on attack. I think I see that more from a Leon MacDonald side, because you look at the way the Blues play, they are very forward heavy, and then obviously they got the class out wide. So that's very interesting for me as who was leading that charge. I mean, did Leon MacDonald say, like, you have to play Caleb Clark, and Razor said enough is enough, we've got to go, like 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 I was asking, like, what was, I don't know what the final straw was. Was it like when Leon MacDonald's like, you have to start Rieko Ioane this test, and then like Razor was like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of this guy. This guy's leaving.
That's exactly when it happened, is when Razor named Anton Leonard-Brown at 13, like, and that's when Leon was like, that's it, I'm done, I'm out. Cheers.
Oh man. But the thing,
breaking news.
The hope is now, I mean, as a Crusaders fan, he's going to go coach the Crusaders, so that Rob Penny can stop calling people the C-bombs on press conferences. So the Crusaders can actually get a coach that wins rugby games. So that's the hope. But I mean that's a bombshell. I mean, because I don't think Raids has worked much, like Jason Holland, obviously, and all those guys, and obviously Tamari Ellison was with him at the Crusaders. So I always thought if those two other coaches there that would stick together, would probably be Razor and Leon. It's like Jacques Nienaber and Rassie fighting, imagine.
Yeah. Look, I mean, yeah, I guess that's, you know, it happens. I mean, we even saw it with the Springboks with Swayze and Rassie, or Swayze leaving before, or like early in 2019. And there was basically, part of it was sort of like a coaching philosophy type of argument. And, you know, it happens. Like, if you have strong coaches and your assistant coaches, and you have like experienced coaches, you know, they'll see the game differently and see the world differently. And then if it's not select, I mean, I remember the All Blacks said before the test that basically each coach that's a specialist picks their positions. So it was supposed to be MacDonald, I think, picking the halfbacks, or maybe the centers and the back three, and maybe that's actually that Rieko Ioane and Caleb Clark shot might not actually be too far off.
I mean, you pick Harry Plummer, so I mean that's grounds for getting fired.
And he's coming to South Africa on tour.
He did dismissal stuff. That is, if I'm Razor, Harry Plummer saying we'd rather play with no 10s. We'd rather just no. If I said that meeting and Leon said, guys, we need to bring in Harry Plummer to cover, I'm like, man, what are you doing here? Like, I'd have gone straight to Mark Robertson, the CEO. I'm like, this Leon guy has got to go now. Him and Harry, they must go. Guys, we can't be watching All Blacks with Harry Plummer. Oh, my word. Oh, these guys. Oh, my word. Oh, please. No, let me don't.
You want to talk about
anymore? No.
You want to talk about coaches that could, like, coaches that are like strong personalities that would possibly butt heads. I mean, Eddie Jones hired John Mitchell at England. Like, those two together, just when that happened, I was just like, this is no ways. They're both head coaches, and they both don't give a rat's about anyone else. Like, they want to do it their way. It's like my way or the highway. So I was surprised that Mitchell hung around for so long. But that's pretty serious, like, personality clashes right there.
Oh man, that's hectic. I mean, and also, but the funny thing is, like, it's on the eve of the tour. Like, it's not like, I think they're leaving in 2 days' time, and then it's like, no. Like, I don't think.
Do you think Leon's like, he picked up his passport and he's like, oh shit, I don't have my visa. What's going on? And then Scott's like, hello, guess what?
Yeah.
We're having a meeting. You're righties.
maybe it's like trying to pack his bag. He's like, you know what? I don't like going to South Africa again. Like I did this for like 15 years as a player. Like there's nothing for me in this country anymore. I just, you know what? Reza, I'm out. I am out.
I'm not doing another safari tour. Like I'm over it now, guys.
It's just tough picking Tamari Ellison. You know, I didn't even know he was I didn't even know he was involved in the All Black mix until his name. I'm like, oh, now he's got all this pressure. Now it's like you and Scott Hansen, let's attack Better Cook because I sent my best mate away basically. So you Oaks, I figure out something in Ellis Park because I'm trusting you Oaks. Otherwise, I'm getting another attack coach to come in here.
After the first test.
Yeah.
Yeah, look,
All Blacks are known for making these wild decisions. Remember when a couple of years ago, I mean, clearly South Africa is the place for All Blacks to make wild decisions. Because remember, the last time they were here, Ian Foster was a game away from being fired. And then poor what you call it, John Plumtree and Brad Moore became the scapegoats for poor Fozzie when they got back here.
Yeah, we have some precedent about that, so that might be something to worry about for the Springboks. I still don't know why they didn't take the Leinster attack coach. Obviously he's a Kiwi. I'm completely blanking on his name right now.
Was it Blaine?
No, the one before Blaindal. The one moving out to Ireland. Goodman, I think.
Yes.
He's
solid,
moving to Ireland. Yeah, I mean, we see what he does every week for Leinster, and obviously he's going to do it for Ireland now. Mike Catt also, as Mike Catt, I think he's been picked up by someone, right?
He's on the top.
By the Waratahs.
Waratahs.
I don't know what the
Waratahs are coming in hot next year. The Waratahs are coming in hot.
They have every prop in Australia. They have like all these coaches with Rieko Ioane. They have Catt. They have the man that came back from England as well. So they're going to be hot next year.
Yeah, they're doing a lot to finish fourth in Super Rugby next year.
No, that's the position of my poor.
They have 10. They have no 10 again. No, they got. Oh, Wallabies have got bigger issues. They have all these fantastic coaches. Just unfortunately, there's no players.
Look, Harry Jones will gladly have you buy some Tane Edmund stocks. So if you want that, there's always available.
Yeah, I'll sell my Noah Lolesio stock, so I might have to invest in Tane Edmund now. Maybe you got a plan for me.
Last bit of news is breaking actually from Dylan Jack that apparently there's an impasse in the Siya Kolisi move to Racing, and basically Racing is like, okay, you have to pay the 17 million back that we paid you to get him out of his contract. And the Sharks like, can we pay you over 2-3 years? And Racing is like, hell no. So yeah, this is about to get awkward. What do you think, Kooks?
So basically Siya Kolisi is in limbo now. That's like
pretty much.
Like, so basically if I'm Siya, I'm going to Racing and be like, listen, before this thing gets solved, please don't release me from any sort of camps. I have to stay in South Africa before this sort of gets solved. I can't have to go back for preseason after, because I mean, obviously there's that gap from the championship to the end of year tour. And then Racing's be like, oh man, you got to come back to work. That's what you need to do. So this is hectic.
When all this happened and then the Sharks, it wasn't announced officially that the Sharks were picking him up. I was like, no, I think he's going to stay. Like, I think Racing had a little bit too much power, but I also don't. So I think they have a bit too much power in terms of what they're asking for him. Like, and the way that what has been reported with how the Sharks want to somehow pay our GDP for him again. But I don't have any issue with him staying there. I don't think it's a shit environment for him. Like, he never came out and said it was a bad environment, did he? Like, he's pretty cool with everything. Like, so Lorenzetti was a bit of a deuce, and he was bad-mouthing everyone afterwards. I think Kolisi stays. I think he has a great season for them because they've finally figured out how to manage the situation and manage him and don't play him like 70 minutes every game. I think he's going to have a great season for them. But
I think it's the opposite. I mean, if you say he goes back, I think Lorenzetti, like, if he wins his belts, like, yeah, like, you're back here now, get ready to play some rugby. That's what's going to happen to you now. Like, that's what you're going to do.
You're going to Paul, you're going to Vaughan, you're going to Cast.
He's playing in this. They've got a whole sevens tournament that he's going to play every game there too.
And Lorenzetti will make sure that he plays all the games with their rest. They'll rest every other international except for Siya. Like, you got to play. Like, this is like, you should be getting rested. Like, when racing doesn't come down to South Africa or for a championship with the red players, like Siya on a plane, and you have to come and you have to stay in the team hotel. If you're in Cape Town, you can't stay at home. Sorry.
It's going to last. It's going to last 3
and-
weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to last 3 weeks. Rachel Kolisi is going to walk straight into his office, give him a piece of her mind, and everything will be okay.
The thing is, to be fair, Lorenzetti is sitting in the pound seat because he's like us. Technically, like he's on a contract. So we paid him out of his contract to bring him here. So no money.
That's why I'm saying. He will stay on
Yeah.
just because for at least one more season. I think at the end of next season, maybe the move will happen because they've had a whole year to decide and negotiate. I think he stays on for another season. I think he has less injuries. So the injuries were the major problem for him last year. We didn't play as much as Lorenzetti, Mr. Paper Pusher was going to hope. Like everything's going to be okay. Like there's no worries.
Tell us words. Stop South African Springbok players in your prime. Stop going to France. It hasn't worked out. It doesn't work out
for anyone.
It doesn't work out. Colby, Eben, now Sia's catching strays in France. Oh man.
Yeah, you need to do. I mean, I listened to a little bit of the kick on pod, and they had Joe Fanico on. When you go to France, you're going to retire there. You're going to be a citizen basically of the country, of the city you're in. Like you have to fully invest. You have to do a Sean Sowerby basically. Obviously, Kolisi was not doing this when he was obviously high flying every weekend and going to each and every sports game in the universe.
He's got to be there.
Joe Fanico.
I get it. I fully get it. I support Siya doing that, but that doesn't work for these French clubs.
Joe Fanico will not pay for a yoga class anywhere in Toulon and within 300 kilometers of the Stade Mayol. Like that oak is sorted there. He is a flippin' hero there, absolute hero.
Look at the box in Japan. Oh, smiling. Guys are happy. You know, they pride. They come. The Japanese club go. You know what? After championship, take a break. Put your feet up, man. Relax. We'll see you. Go do your box stuff. Come. All you ask for is Jan to March. Just give us 3 months, and we'll give you 3 months off. The guys are smiling. The guys in Japan, fuffing them and
doing offloads
to rehab. Comes back home. With his hand, does rehab in South Africa. He's gonna fly back. Play one of the game. You know, like those guys in Japan are living. I mean, the Premiership is the guys are happy there, but you're also playing. You're going to play rugby. Though. The guys in Japan, the league is getting better. They're growing with the league. That's where you should go in your prime of your buckler. Just go to Japan. Look at Kobe's.
Richie Mo'unga is ready to run out for Japan.
I said, no, Richie trying his best to come back home. That's another situation.
Well, Razor's bringing him home for sure.
Listen, Razor's going to have to go there and fork out Lorenzetti style money because when Mo'unga left, wasn't he there for like a week and he was like, right, I'm here to stay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think he signed a 3 or 4 year contract. So yeah, that will cost
3 or 4
NZ some money.
I do think Richie Mo'unga is easily influenced because he got back from Japan and he watched one test with all he's like, you know what, I missed it too. I'm like, my man, you gotta choose one. What's going on with you? You just rock up to a place, you're like, you know what? The problem is with Richie is like New Zealand rugby can't afford him to sort of buy his contract unless he plays one game for the Crusaders, then he plays another game for the Blues. Then it's split his contract through the whole of Super Rugby side. You also want to get a piece of Richie Mo'unga as the season goes. If you're ready for the playoffs, you're gonna pay extra because it's going to come on whole New Zealand Rugby's board to sort of chip down that contract. Because, I mean, it's 3 years he signed for. And a proper 3 years. Not that RD one in Super Rugby. It's that one man, you are here for good.
Yeah, I think the Waratahs need to sign Richie Mo'unga. They clearly have the money there in the Southern Hemisphere and just be able to get him back into Super Rugby or just
he was there for State of Origin. He's connected with the Blues. He's connected, man. He was there, wasn't he, doing kicking class with the New South Wales Blues just before they won Origin? He's already bought a house in Sydney, bud. You joke, but that's not a joke.
Then that solves the fly-off problem.
Yeah, it's the All Blacks doing the overseas policy, but you have to still be within Australasia, Europe, Artie's the only ones you can go to Moana Pacifica, but they're based in New Zealand. So technically, he's still playing in New Zealand.
Yeah, look, just back on Kolisi, I think this is a godsend for the Sharks. this is not the best way to spend your not the best way to spend your money. You're cooking with loose forward talent. The Tutukas are now even eligible for South Africa now. Like, yeah, the Home Affairs has pulled through with the passports. Like, this is not needed. Use that 17 million and no, actually, just keep the 17 million. Don't even use it. Just keep it and just don't. You don't have to spend money. You're fine now. You have a squad. You have youngsters.
Give it a
You
line.
earn interest off that, and you can pay like someone's contract.
Yeah, like this is the time now for the Sharks to actually just consolidate. They don't need this. And for Siya, look, I mean, there's worse places in the world to stay than Paris, but he was mentioning to, I think, Shaun, you're asking, he did say in the interview, but he said in person that he is missing South Africa. Like, it's obviously a bit tough on his family and all the work that he does for the Kolisi Foundation, which I think is part of the reason why he was flying back to South Africa quite a bit. So I think there is
yeah,
a
he
desire.
said he was coming back and working.
Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, this is going to be awkward. And look, I also don't necessarily want to go to a practice if Owen Farrell's going to be shouting at me. So I kind of get it from Siya's
They're
side.
best buds. And Owen
right
Farrell's
together.
brilliant. You don't start Owen Farrell slander here. This is not
I'm
the
not
place.
slandering, but Owen Farrell
Cool.
is very known as he pushes the standards there. And obviously,
Yes. And
he
then they're
knows
going to
that
go on and win. He's going to go on Lions tour and kill Australia for 3 weeks.
But yeah, if Siya's looking at this being sort of his easing back time, as it seems like all the Boks do with their franchises, yeah, O's not going to accept that because now he doesn't have like the England outlet. This is going to be his thing every day. So yeah, I think some of the racing players, and there's one South African in Paris that's not happy about this. Hachiva Diamani was looking at that 6 jersey saying it's mine.
Oh man.
But yeah, I think let's end it there. Yeah, thank you so much for everyone listening to this Rugby Biz podcast. You can see us on YouTube, on whatever podcast platform that you have there. Please like the pod. Please follow us on all of our podcast, all of our social media channels. Share it with everyone, and please, follow us on our Rugby Biz social media channels to see whatever news that is coming up. And yeah, this is the place to be for the build up for this week of, All Black Week is the best week ever. We are so excited about it. I'm quite scared that Rassie is going to pick a second team side for Cape Town, but we'll deal with that later. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to us. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.